Today is Monday, September 27th, 2021. Welcome to Derapy Season 3. Today I was giving a ride via Lyft, my job, as I do. I had a 42-minute trip from Murfreesboro all the way out to Brentwood. And I was giving a ride to a young man that happened to be a trans man. But you know what's so interesting about that? I didn't know he was trans until we were about 37 minutes into our 42-minute trip. And then he kind of mentioned it in passing. We were just talking about how men were trash, as human beings do. And as a man, I know that men are, prone to be trash here and there. Listen to my previous sessions. He said, yeah, I have a unique perspective on that. Used to be a girl, now I'm a guy, and thought they were trash, then still think they're trash. And I was like, oh, word? And I just think that's so beautiful. I think it's awesome that something that triggers so many people, something that makes so many people upset, we didn't have to talk about at all. And I wish more people could have conversations like that. I wish we could all just be normal, like quit being weird. In a session called You Talk White, I talked about how people were just like being racist for no good reason, with the subtle racist stuff. There are an infinite number of things to talk about besides how somebody looks or how their people act. Me and this young man talked for a solid half an hour about everything but the fact that he transitioned from being a woman to being a man, because it doesn't matter, Like, it really doesn't matter. Anyways, that's not even what we're here to talk about. I love movies. I mean, I really appreciate what movies represent. Gathering together, watching something on a big screen, the whole experience of cinema, the whole experience of that form of media in general. Today, I want to talk about a couple of movies that I've seen since the last time I talked about movies. There's a lot, but I'm going to run through them quickly, except for the last one that we talk about today, which has something to do with the title, with the ridiculous title of this session. I promise it'll make sense. The last time I was doing Derapy, talking about movies, I talked about The Forever Purge. I talked about how The Forever Purge was the worst movie I'd seen so far. Today, I'm going to actually briefly talk about the actual worst movie that I've seen this year. The second movie I've ever walked out of, but we'll get there. First, I want to talk about Old. Old is a movie by M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalan Ding Dong. July 29th of 2021, I went to see Old. This specific group of people are on a beach, and that beach makes everybody old. Why don't they just leave the beach? They can't. They try, but they can't. The movie is actually very, very unintentionally funny. The funniest part of the movie is it's very clear that this woman's children have aged 10 years over the course of 2 days. And she's like, something looks different about them. I just can't tell. It's just a really absurd scene. Regardless, it's kind of a ridiculous movie. It's not a good movie. I'd say it's I was about to say a 5 out of 10. I think that's being too generous. Maybe a 4. It's a light 4. It's not a good movie, but I'd still recommend you see it because some parts of it are creepy. Just trying to figure out why they're getting so old so quick, but whatever. On August 5th of 2021, it was actually my birthday, turned 25, quarter of a century, quarter life crisis. The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad, the movie that came out on my birthday in 2016. This is actually a sequel to that movie. The first one starred Will Smith and Margot Robbie. This one still has Margot Robbie in it as Harley Quinn, but it also has Idris Elba and John Cena. And his name is John. It's an extremely fun movie. There's this crazy character called Weasel. There's this crazy character that's also a shark, but he walks around. He's super strong. There's a guy called Polka Dot Man. It's a really fun movie. Extremely violent. Extremely funny. Doesn't take itself too seriously. Viola Davis is back as Amanda Waller. It's fun. It's violent. It's brutal. It's not too serious. I think it's a blast. I'd probably say 8.5 out of 10. Directed by James Gunn. It's just a super fun movie. Free Guy was a movie that we saw on August 15th starring Ryan Reynolds. And it is ridiculous because I know exactly the type of person that Ryan Reynolds is. I know exactly the quick, witty type of commentary or conversations he's gonna have with people, the little internal dialogue, fourth wall breaking stuff. He does the same thing every movie and it's funny every time. Now looking back on it, some of the things in the movie are so obscenely absurd. Some of the random references to other properties, it's a little over the top. It's a movie about a video game and they have a bunch of streamers involved, real life streamers, and they make just a few too many cameos. I don't want to No, I'm not gonna spoil it. Go see the movie. Like, it's fun. It's good for a laugh. But honestly, I think it's better for like children. I think it'd be really cool if you're like between the age of like 14 and no, actually, if you're between the age of like 10 and like 17. Like, I don't regret seeing the movie, but I'm never gonna see it again. On August 27th, I saw Candyman with Spice and my little sister. A genuinely very good, well-made movie. Jordan Peele is involved. You know how he does.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Yeah.
It was a great movie. Highly recommend. I actually need to watch it again because there are a lot of things that you can miss. There are a lot of subtle things, a lot of nuanced things. And as far as scary movies go, it's the type of movie where it's not just people popping out, screaming, the type of scary movies that we don't like that I talked way back in season 1 of Derapy. It's the type of movie that you'll actually enjoy. On September 5th, I saw ShangChi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It started out great. It was so cool. And then halfway through the movie, Marvel just puts their whole... they just rub their butt all over that movie because it seems like it's this cool standalone movie about like some really awesome Asian leads. And it's like, wow, there are going to be Asian Americans that turn up to this movie and they're like, wow, we can do it. Look at us. It's so cool. And the fight scenes are so well choreographed. The dialogue is believable. The characters are genuinely good and funny and realistic. And then they just start shoving random Marvel characters from, you know what? I'm going to spoil this one little bit. It's not going to ruin the movie, I promise. So if you're familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they get Wong from the Doctor Strange movie and just pop him in there. Of all the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you take the one Asian guy from the other movie and just put him in this Asian movie. Like, I saw that and I don't appreciate it. And I'm not even Asian. The movie's great all the way up until they start marveling it up. Like, there's a point where the guy is talking about one of the main characters is discussing his backstory, and they just cut it off with a really bad joke. There's an incredible fight scene in the movie that gets interrupted by some guy that's just like being funny, and the scene is like very serious. The villains are trying to murder our heroes, and this guy just kind of busts in with some like out of left field stuff, and I'm just like, dude, I was having a good time. But honestly, by the end of that movie, I was kind of falling asleep, which I feel really embarrassed about because I want you to go see the movie if you're interested. Actually, you know what? I'm not hyping this movie up for no reason. Like, look, I really enjoyed the first half of the movie. If you like other Marvel movies, you'll like this one. But as an all-around standalone movie, we don't need it. On September 6, 2021, went to see a movie with Spice again. It's called The Protege. It's basically like a female John Wick, but her mentor is Samuel L. Jackson. So it's a fun movie, but Michael Keaton is in it, and his character, it's just very strange because he's supposed to be the love interest of our main character. Our main protagonist is a woman, female woman. Our main protagonist is a female woman lady. Her main love interest is Michael Keaton, and it's like he's just too old for her, and every time he's in a fight scene, like, you can just tell it's not him. It's just a little bit too much. There's a lot of corny stuff happening, and unlike in my favorite movies and my favorite TV shows, there are a lot of moments where I'm thinking like, this is not like a logical decision that someone's making. Like, what's happening is not rational, and I don't really appreciate it. It could be much better. Malignant. It is easily one of the worst things I've ever seen. The first scene, I thought it was like a dream sequence. I thought it was something that was the acting was so bad and it was so corny and weird that I was like, surely this isn't like an integral part of the movie. But then I find out that the whole movie is like that. And I think they're trying to go for some type of like 80s, 90s, old school throwback nostalgic vibe, but it just comes off as like bad acting. I don't want to waste two hours of my life watching people that are, I don't know if you're acting like you're acting badly or if you're just acting badly. Either way, I'm not having fun and the movie's not scary. I just don't like it. And I would actually urge you to avoid the movie. It is one of two movies I've ever walked out of in my entire life. Last movie I want to talk about today is the movie that I actually saw today with my fiance. It is called Dear Evan Hansen. It's actually a musical, and I'm not joking. It's probably one of the best movies that I've seen this year, and I've seen a lot of movies this year. You know me. I've been out here. I've seen a lot, and it's just one of the best things that I've seen. At one point during this movie, I got out of my seat and I sat on the floor because I was so moved by it. Like, I wasn't sad. I wasn't emotional. I was just cringing. And it's like, I actually had to remind myself that it was just a movie, because there are some parts of it that are so uncomfortable and unsettling that you can't just help but like cover up. I'm covering my face. I'm walking around. I'm pacing. I'm bending over. Pause. I can't believe it. By the way, the singing's great. If you like musicals, you'll love it. But just as a movie on its own, the story is just unbelievable. There's this kid in high school. Nobody really likes him. He's best known for just screaming in people's faces. For whatever reason, someday, tragically, unfortunately, he decides to take his own life. Evan Hansen comes in, a kid who has problems of his own, and for whatever reason, through no real fault of his own, but I mean, he did have a couple chances to stop this, but he convinces everybody and their mother, literally, that he was best friends with this kid that killed himself. And it's just not true. And throughout the whole movie, you know, eventually, at some point, everyone's going to find out that he's been lying to everyone, but you don't know how it's going to happen or if it's going to happen at all. And it's so uncomfortable, because the crazy part about this movie is, and I think, part of the message that you're supposed to take away from it, the kid that took his own life, nobody liked him. Nobody cared about him. Everybody thought he was weird. He was crazy. Then he dies. And there are literally kids on the football team that are taking selfies with his locker now that he's gone. But they'd never be caught dead. Excuse me? No pun intended. In a picture with the kid when he was actually alive and kicking it. And it's such a wild movie. Just the premise had me hooked. I saw the trailer and I didn't even realize it was a musical. I was like, this is just a crazy story. I went to see it and it was even crazier and more unsettling than I imagined. There's a lot more I want to say about it, but I really don't want to spoil any of it. Just go see it. Short one today. Just wanted to make sure I stayed on schedule. Gave you something light. Coming up soon. Gonna have some guests on. Very excited for that. There's more greatness coming. We have a lot more planned. But until then, I'll see you in a couple days. I love you, and I mean it. Thank you so much for listening to this session of Derapy, made possible by Anchor. We are now available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. New sessions every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Intro beat is by Cosmic. Outro beat is by
Ricey K.
This guy isn't even really a rapper. I really hope he doesn't start.
Coming for the throne, King Joffrey. Yeah, they mad, but they won't stop me. Whoa, I've been going hard like Ronnie, but I'm not here to tear the house up. No, but no, I've been through it. No, I didn't lose it. I just been grinding like off the mic, like on my own. Just been in the booth like Superman before a fight. Now I got the juices, taste it right. No, I spit the truth, I keep it tight.
How hard is he working?
Hard enough to make Gordon Ramsay cry.
Unbelievable. One simple request, and you make a big fucking song and dance about it.
I am the chosen, I am not going. I got plenty that I plan to do. This boy is clutch, he ain't choking. Success, it's not random, dude. Better catch the flight with us, because it is leaving soon. Afghan vibes, once we leave you dead as season 2. It's season 3. R.I.P. Killed the beat, and it's easy. Somebody check on Breezy. Everything better when it's cheesy, except like cereal and carrots and paintings. Mary